Hey guys, have you ever scrolled on social media like Facebook and then came across a 360 video on your phone where when you moved left to right or rotated your phone up or down, you could actually see the entire scene in a 360 video? Or maybe you've been in VR and watched a video about what it was kind of like to be in a very specific environment and you can look around in a full 360 scope. Well, if you're familiar with any of those type of videos, then most likely what you were watching was shot on a camera just like this. This is called the Insta360 X4. The neat thing about this is it has two cameras, one on the front, one on the back. And what it does is it takes two kind of circular videos and it stitches it together to make a complete full 360 experience. So I've been a fan of Insta360 products for a while now. My main webcam that I actually use for work is an Insta360 Link, which shoots in 4K. I also use the Insta360 Go 3S as my main action camera, POV camera, if you will, of choice too. And now I finally got my hands on the Insta360 X4, shout out to Insta360 for actually sending this out, so I can test it and see what it's like, so I can also recreate some of my shots of those 360 videos that you see online on social media. A feature about this camera is that it's able to shoot in 8K in the full 360 mode, up to 30 frames per second. If you go ahead and take a look at the footage here, I don't think anybody is going to complain that the footage looks bad or low quality in any capacity, to be honest. One of the drawbacks about having 8K footage is that the file sizes are absolutely massive. So something that Insta360 has helped with is if you edit through the Insta360 Studio, at least on the desktop, you can export it in H.264 but also H.265, which keeps the same amount of image quality but compresses the file size down to a much more manageable size so you don't have those behemoths of files when kind of exporting out at that really high resolution. So one of the things that I really enjoy about this camera is that it's really user-friendly. This is one of those things where you record first and edit later, so I can really hold this camera any type of which way, and then afterwards in post I can pick the angles that I want to choose for my videos. So I can hold the camera kind of straight up, behind my back, right in front of me, and not really worry about me getting the shot. Because it's a 360 camera, I'm always getting the shot. And after getting the shot, you can actually upload it into the app or on the Insta360 desktop application as well. And here's what I mean, so check this out. When I upload this onto the app, you can pick and choose the angles that you want, and I wasn't really focusing on holding the camera any type of specific way, but now I can get the exact shot I want by just moving it in the way that I need to and saving it just like that. This really helps because it allows me to be more immersed in whatever situation or environment I'm in when I'm traveling, because the last thing you want when you're traveling is to be overly focused on how your shot looks and it really takes you out of the moment. For this, I just throw it onto that action stick, I pull it out, hit record, and I just hold it whatever which way, trusting that when I upload it, I will get the shot that I want. Speaking of getting shots you want, quality is everything. And image quality and visual quality is actually really important to me. I noticed this camera really shines when doing things outdoors during the daytime. I'm going to say this again. This camera really shines doing things outdoors during the daytime when there is plenty of light. Take the hint, please. So instead of me telling you how I feel about the image quality, I mean, you're watching it back here for yourself. Go into your YouTube settings, turn up the quality all the way to the highest setting, which is probably 4K, and watch it back and make that decision for yourself. How does this look for you? Do you like it? Is it usable? Is it something that you would use for yourself? I can only give you my opinion and allow you to see it for yourself, because for me, this is absolutely usable footage, as long as I do it in the daytime, outside. Another thing that I really like is the extendable selfie stick that it comes with. I don't know what kind of software magic that they're doing, but I can take this stick and then screw the camera onto it, pull it out quite a few feet in front of me actually, and what it'll do in post automatically as well, I don't have to do anything, it will completely eliminate the stick and almost make it seem like I have a film crew or somebody in front of me recording. But one thing that I did notice is, yes, whilst there's no selfie stick in sight, No one else really talks about this, but you're always kind of walking with one hand free, it seems like, and the other hand is kind of balled up in a fist, so it is still pretty noticeable that you are recording with this stick. Also, and maybe this is something that Insta360 can fix in the future, or maybe it's too difficult, I don't know, but pro tip from me, something that made it glaringly obvious that you were recording with this camera with the stick extended is, yes, whilst it's invisible on the frame, if I look down at any point and I can see the shadow of the stick, it just totally actually ruins the shot for me. So a tip from me to you, if you're planning on getting this camera, or if you already own this camera, try to record it in a way to where the shadow doesn't show up on the floor, and sometimes that's just as easy as turning around and you won't get the shadow that is very, at least for me, just like a visual distraction, and it kind of ruins the immersion a little bit. So yeah, selfie stick, cool. The illusion of it disappearing, that's awesome. Yes, there's a little thing where you're gonna walk with a little bit of a balled fist on one end because you're holding a selfie stick. That's something that you can't really get rid of. But at the end of the day, please guys, make sure if you're going to record with this, if you can, because I know it's not possible in all situations, but in some of those situations where you can help it, try to make sure there is no shadow in your shot. Another thing a lot of people don't talk about is that, yes, whilst this camera is very lightweight, it feels pretty much the same weight, maybe a little bit heavier than my phone. When you're putting it on the selfie stick and extending it quite far, it does get a little bit heavy, so that's just a little warning there. And another thing I don't hear a lot of people talking about is I see a lot of videos of people walking around in public, traveling, surrounded by people. I don't know about you, but for me and for the rest of the team, we found ourselves feeling a little bit awkward at first, having to get adjusted to not feeling nervous in front of people, because what you guys see for most video reviews is the final shot of what it looks like walking around. But if you take a look at it from this angle, where I'm obviously walking with the selfie stick in front of me, yes, it looks a little strange. So just a little tip from me to you as well, if you're considering this camera, if you have social anxiety or get nervous filming around people, especially, you know, in the form of walking around with a long stick attached to a camera, you know, something you might want to think about too. But one of the good things is that what used to actually give me a lot of social anxiety when I was filming in public was me talking directly to a camera, just like this, like, hey guys, blah, 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 blah. And people would clearly see that I'm talking to a camera, which would make me actually even more nervous. But the good thing about this is more so of like a external thing, like a nonchalant, more like a candid type of camera. So I can hold it in front of me, pay no mind to it, almost act like I'm not recording at all and just walk around with the stick. Yes, people are going to see me walking around with the stick, but most of the time they don't actually see that I'm recording because it doesn't really look like I'm paying attention to the actual camera. Little do they know that I'm just gonna throw the footage in post and then alter the angle so it can look like I was intentionally filming out in public. So that's one of the things that for me at least I noticed was the anxiety about filming in public. But one of the ways that I combated it was learning that, number one, no one cares if you're filming, and number two, not really talking directly into the camera and just kind of sticking it out, just not really paying attention to it, actually really does help. Let's talk about another feature that I really enjoy too, which is horizon lock. I don't know what kind of voodoo magic they do, but however which way I move the camera, whether it's this way, that way, just moving it around, because it's a 360 camera, it just completely locks on the horizon, leaving no really difficulty or need for me to edit in post as well. I can just kind of move this around, it just locks to the horizon. So I thought that was also really cool. Something that's cool about this camera as well is that, yes, whilst it has two lenses in the front and the back capable of shooting 360 video, you can also use either the front or the back lens to record just like a traditional action camera. If you don't have one of these, you can use this as this, right? The same way that you would use the Insta360 Go 3S as well. And the single lens mode is really good too. You can go ahead and take a look at the footage for yourself. It records in full 4K. So it's not just a 360 camera, but it can also be used as just a traditional single lens camera as well. So a couple things that have improved in this camera is that the screen is a bit bigger than last generation's, sitting at 2.5 inches. The battery is also bigger, coming in at 2,290 milliamps. Now, this means that the runtime is able to go for about 135 minutes, which Insta360 claims is a 67% increase more than the last generation's X3. This thing is also waterproof at 10 meters, aka about 30 to 33 feet. So you can jump in a pool in this, you can take it to the beach, you can take it surfing. It's not quite dive proof yet, but it's still good enough to be able to get those pretty clean underwater shots if that's something that you need.
Alright, so fast forward quite a bit of time, and I have lived with this camera and I have used this camera extensively for travel, for everyday things, for vlogging. Would I recommend this camera? Well, I think there's a few questions to be asked first to see if it's for you, because let's just be honest, this camera is not for everybody. Is the video quality on this camera good? Yes. Is it good enough to make professional grade quality videos that you can kind of blow up on a much bigger screen like an 80-inch TV? No, absolutely not. This is an everyday consumer camera. I wouldn't do actually any type of professional work with this as well. Another thing that I talked about too, if you have no issue walking around with a selfie stick or anything like that, then this will be a great option for you too, because it totally eliminates the selfie stick. But since the selfie stick is so long and it could be a little bit intrusive or a little bit weird to kind of look at if you're just walking around in public, if you're the self-conscious type, this camera is not going to be the camera for you, right? But if that's something that really doesn't bother you, then go for it. And the last thing that I wanted to talk about was the low light performance. So this thing does not do the best in low light situations. If you noticed, the bulk of the shots that you saw in this review are a lot of me doing things outdoors. This thing actually does fall apart quite a bit, just like the Insta360 Go 3S series as well that I put on my chest in low light. I'm not saying that it's unusable, because if you turn it down to the 5.7K mode, it's actually still pretty usable for the most part. But still, that doesn't mean that you're not going to see a decent amount of film grain, especially when you're blowing it up on a little bit of a bigger TV. This is something that I've noticed Insta360 does struggle with a little bit in terms of their action cameras like this and the Insta360 Go 3S, and that's just me being completely honest, because I don't want you making a mistake if you're the type of person that does a lot of low light shots or a lot of activities or vlogs in the nighttime. Then this might not be the best option for you. All right, but that would be my recommendation. If you're somebody who just wants a really good quality consumer grade camera that can shoot in that 360 mode, if you don't mind that it falls apart a little bit in low light, and if you don't mind walking around with a selfie stick, then this is actually a really creative tool for you to be able to use as a part of your arsenal. All right, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this video helped you make a buying decision, and if you like this video, please drop a comment or a like and subscribe below, and we'll see you guys next time. Catch you later.